Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 6.
A Durham woman has lost custody of her 5 kids after posting a Craigslist ad seeking the public's help in housing them. Good evening, everybody. I'm Pam Salisbury.
And I'm Sean Murray. Thanks for joining us. That woman is making progress in getting her children back. WNCN's Eileen Park is live in Durham with an update. Eileen.
Sean, we just learned that she interviewed for 2 jobs as a nurse's assistant, and she got both jobs. But lingering questions still remain on if Durham Social Services will give her children back any faster as a result. Call it a mistake or just a desperate attempt to get her life back together.
And I was like, no, I was not trying to sell the kids on Craigslist.
For Mashimali Johnson, this Craigslist ad begging anyone for help housing her children was out of desperation.
They said that me not liking where I lived at was not a good enough reason to take the kids into care.
Johnson says she first went to Durham Social Services for help because she suddenly found herself jobless and then homeless to take care of her sick child. So she sought help from the Durham Rescue Mission but decided their program wasn't for her.
She chose not to accept our program.
Co-founder of the mission, Ernie Mills, tells me their program is designed for long-term help and growth, which means she wouldn't be allowed to get a job for 6 months while under their care to focus on learning life skills.
We could have helped her if she had wanted to stay at the rescue mission, but that didn't fit into her program at that time.
I'm looking to try to save up some money so I can get my own place. And the way the rescue mission is designed, you cannot work for 6 months.
But you would have had food on the table, you would have had a place for your kids, you would have had medical care.
That's not what I was looking for.
So you're probably wondering right now where her 5 children are. Well, 2 of them are with a daycare teacher. 1 is with a friend of Johnson's, and her 2 oldest are in a therapeutic foster home. Now, when I asked Johnson if she thinks that DSS will give her children back any faster as a result of getting 2 jobs today, she says she remains cautiously optimistic. But first, she will have to face the court system because now she faces a charge of neglect. We're live in Durham tonight. I'm Eileen Park for WNCN News.
All right, Eileen Park starting us off tonight. Eileen, thank you. Now, we spoke with Durham's Department of Social Services today. They say, quote, only a small number of cases involve the removal of children and placement in foster care, and that, quote, kids are never removed solely due to issues of poverty or homelessness.
Durham police tonight looking for 3 teenagers who they say left a homemade explosive device on a city bus. A bottle exploded on a Bull City connector last night. WNCN's Justin Quisenberry is live in Durham right now with that new video and reaction. Justin?
Pam, Triangle Transit tells me that this is a case of kids playing a prank, but one that could have been very serious. We want to show you some video now. Durham police just released as they work to identify the suspects. You see the 3 teens sitting on the bus, which they rode for just a few stops. As they exit, you can see them smiling. And then less than a minute after they get off the bus, a small blast from the bottle that police say they left behind under a seat. 2 people were on board at that time, the driver and a passenger. They were taken to a hospital and did not have any serious injuries. The bus was not damaged. It has bus riders we spoke with today thinking twice about the people and the items around them.
I'm scared. I looked up under the bus, up on the seat, everything. I'm going to look up on it.
When I heard about the explosion, it kind of saddened me because people are just so cruel. The world is coming to such a bad thing. You know, you can't even feel safe on a bus anymore.
And you can see one of those Bull City connectors pulling out here this afternoon downtown, but we can tell you that the actual bus involved in this incident is still out of service. It could be back on the road tomorrow. Pam, back to you.
Justin Quisenberry live in Durham for us tonight. Justin, thank you. More Fort Bragg soldiers will soon leave for Afghanistan. The Department of Defense says the 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade will deploy later this year. The brigade will send about 1,700 soldiers to Afghanistan. No word on the length of the deployment. It was one of 3 units identified for an upcoming deployment by the Pentagon.
A former town manager is accused of siphoning off nearly $500,000 from taxpayers in one of the poorest areas in our state. The state auditor looked into the questionable purchases in Tarboro. The audit found that Sam Noble made nearly $366,000 in unauthorized purchases. That includes buying boating supplies, even though the department doesn't have a boat. Noble is also accused of getting $87,000 in life insurance premiums without town approval. The small community is upset over the accusations. 27% of people there live beneath the poverty line.
They should be charged. They really did a bad job for us. And if we ask for something, they always say we don't have any money for it. And it's because of all of this.
It's a lot of money, all that money, because I could use some of it, and a lot of more people around here could too.
The report also blamed Tarboro Town Council for a lack of oversight. It's been nearly a week since a plane was shot down near Ukraine's border with Russia. No nation lost more people aboard that flight than the Netherlands. And today, the Dutch began to get their loved ones back. The first 40 of the coffins containing the remains of those killed came home in a solemn ceremony. This small nation lost 193 people. Meanwhile, a fighter jet was shot down in eastern Ukraine. Russian separatists are claiming responsibility for the attack. And Israeli troops are battling Hamas militants despite U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry in the region and reporting progress toward a truce. Kerry flew to Tel Aviv today, even though the U.S. government has banned airlines from flying there. The Palestinian death toll stands at 684, mostly civilians. Israel has lost 29 people, mostly members of its military.
A Texas school district once again recruiting local teachers. The Houston Independent School District held a job fair in North Hills today. Leaders there know North Carolina teachers are not happy with the money they're making. Many here locally are concerned North Carolina is going to lose some good teachers.
I'm very disappointed, disheartened, because we have one of the finest education systems in North Carolina.
In order for us to keep them, we have to make sure they have some type of career scale and anticipation. We can't just have a one-year pay raise and then lay off teachers the next year.
Ahead at 7, hear from one of the top budget writers in the General Assembly on what he thinks about outside districts trying to lure North Carolina teachers away. Tonight, Harnett County making a new push to ease overcrowding. Voters have approved a bond referendum to pay for new schools. But until construction, several schools remain over capacity. The board is looking at options that may send middle school students to different schools next year. As with any reassignment plan, there are parents worried about what that means for their kids.
I know the parent-teacher group at Harnett Central Middle has been very concerned. I know there has been a group in the Buies Creek school community, elementary school community, that is extremely concerned about what happens.
There's a public hearing starting at 6:30. It's at Harnett County's Central Office Complex.
For 20 years, a Fayetteville radio station has collected fans for those in need during the hot summer months. Now it's changing the program to address concerns about how the fans were handled. News Talk 640 had been turning the donated fans over to the Department of Social Services, but some fans had been sitting for weeks due to a complicated application process. Now the station will use Fayetteville Urban Ministries to get the fans out quicker.
I agree. If somebody donates the fan, then they should feel confident that it's going to get where it needs to go. Fayetteville Urban Ministries will do that, but they'll do it with less rigmarole.
And there's more help for people looking to stay cool. The Salvation Army in Fayetteville is also helping people who can't afford their utility bills because of air conditioning costs.
Coming up, a tragic death following the closing of a hospital.
We were the first, and we won't be the last.
A North Carolina town's cry for help, plus an in-depth look into the lack of health care access in rural areas.
Well, 90s were back today, but they might not be back tomorrow thanks to the cold front. That's good, right? The bad news is that cold front will bring storms. I'll walk you through the day hour by hour and tell you when they'll be here in a few minutes.
This is your future. This is our futures.
And in the world of college sports, why a scholarship offer isn't always what it seems.
Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 6.
A Raleigh man is charged with leaving his elderly mother in a hot truck while he gambled inside a casino. According to police, Dwight McGiggins spent nearly 6 hours at Maryland Live Casino Monday. They say he left his 98-year-old disabled mother alone in his hot truck with no food and water. The truck was parked in the casino's parking lot when a stranger noticed the elderly woman inside.
We also have to commend that citizen who is taking heed of our message of be nosy. And if you see something, say something. She saw this woman inside the car and decided to alert the police. And that's how we were able to get there quickly.
It was more than 80 degrees outside at the time. The woman was confused, but paramedics determined she would be okay. McGinnis is charged with vulnerable adult neglect.
A North Carolina mayor is walking to Washington, D.C. to draw attention to a lack of rural health care. Adam O'Neill from Belhaven stopped in Richmond yesterday to meet with Virginia's governor. His 300-mile journey is a protest of the closing of Vidant Pungo Hospital. You see, O'Neill says one reason the hospital was shut down was because our state chose not to expand Medicaid. Republican lawmakers stand behind the decision, saying the state is in debt from Medicaid spending. O'Neill plans to speak with the Obama administration when he reaches D.C. on Monday. The closing of that hospital is costing lives. Barry Gibbs' wife, Portia, died while she waited an hour to be medevaced during a heart attack.
We were the first, and we won't be the last. So please, everybody come together, because we do need this hospital.
The next nearest hospital is in Washington, North Carolina, 50 miles away. So let's dig deeper into the access to health care in rural areas. 41 out of North Carolina's 100 counties have a persistent primary care shortage. That includes some areas of Wake, Harnett, and Johnston counties. 24 out of our 100 counties have some areas with no general surgeon. That includes in our viewing area, Hope, Coswell, and Warren counties. Those numbers are from a 2011 study from UNC. Now, one way to address the shortage of rural health care, Campbell University's new medical school is training primary care providers in rural and community hospitals who work in areas that are underserved. The Campbell School of Osteopathic Medicine will eventually have 600 students.
More young athletes are experimenting with human growth hormones. Drug-free Kids surveyed 3,700 high school students. 11% reported using HGH at least once. That's up from 5% just last year. And 7% of teens admitted using steroids. That's up from 5% last year. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency says it's not surprised given the online marketing of performance-enhancing substances and a lack of drug testing.
Many high school football players will soon decide where they'll go to play college ball, but some are in for a rude awakening. The school they thought they'd be going to may not have room for them. WNCN's Todd Gibson breaks down the non-committable phenomenon that has exploded in college sports.
Cleveland high school football star Sterling Johnson was all set to make his dreams come true. The University of Tennessee had long ago offered him a scholarship, but not really.
I guess it was non-committable.
Non-committable? What?
Some of the offers he had were committable, some are non-committable. They usually don't say this is non-committable because then it's not really an offer.
If he veers, I'm gonna...
Welcome to the world of recruiting, and Johnson's story is not unlike others.
It's really full blast all the time, to be honest.
Michael Clark is a recruiting analyst for Scout.com. He tracks up-and-coming football prospects and says he's seen this before.
It's tough. I think it's tough on the kid. A lot of kids, it takes them a while to bounce back from that. It can be embarrassing, tough to handle.
So we take our starters and we put
Campbell head coach Mike Minter has seen both sides of the recruiting game, the former Nebraska and Carolina Panthers star from a coach's point of view.
So I got you number 1, 2, 3. And so the third guy, I still got to recruit you. I still got to make you feel good. But I really want number 1, right?
And that's the reason coaches offer more scholarships than they really have to offer.
If you don't offer a guy, he won't come visit your campus.
That's a good question.
But it works the other way too. This is the advice some kids are getting.
Get you one in hand and then go shop and see if something better comes along. That's where some of the decommits come in, and it's horrific advice to young people.
Wake Forest senior Bryce Love is one of the most sought-after running backs in the entire nation. Stanford, Georgia, and Florida are just a few of the powers that have offered him a scholarship. But are those offers committable ones? Love says there's one way to find out.
You know, I feel like you should just, you could ask. Really, ultimately, I feel like if it's not a committable offer, usually they might, fall back a little bit.
It's just as imperative for parents to ask the same questions, simply.
Number one, is my son's offer committable? If he tried to commit to you right now, would you accept his offer?
And in most cases, Clark says coaches are fine with this line of questioning. After all, they've got a reputation to uphold.
Take care of the people that you're recruiting. Be fair, be true, and don't play games.
And in return, players should
tell us the truth of your interest. This isn't a game. This is your future. This is our futures.
And the future looks bright for Sterling Johnson, the young man we began the piece with. He's found himself a home. He will play his football next season at Clemson. I'm Todd Gibson, WNCN News.
All right, thanks, Gibby. And another obstacle once athletes get to college, many scholarships don't cover the entire 4 years that they're expected to spend at the university. NCAA President Mark Emmert recently told U.S. Senate lawmakers he'd like schools to offer scholarships for life, ones that can't be dropped before an athlete graduates. For 40 years, there were rules banning schools from offering 4-year scholarships. It was repealed in 2012. Now, several schools in the Big Ten are offering 4-year scholarships. The NCAA is also looking into scholarships that cover the full cost of school, not just tuition, as well as room and board.
And now your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Wes Hohenstein.
Well, it was a nice streak while it lasted, for July especially, but the last 7 days we were below 90 for our daytime highs. That changed today, and the heat index was close to 100. July is back, and we've got a few thunderstorms we're watching. Nothing severe, but slow-moving, heavy downpours, that same trend we've been talking about the last few days. So here we are southwest of the Triangle. A few showers just finishing up in Sanford, and then we've got some in southwestern Harnett County, some heavy downpours around Pinehurst, south of Carthage, and again, they're moving slowly to the east. Don't expect anything severe, but a little too much rain at one time is one thing we'll watch out for. Everyone else is pretty much dry and hot. Temperatures around 90 right now. And I mentioned that heat index. It got as high as 98 today. And that, once again, is because our dew point temperature was up here in the steamy range. Will be equally as steamy tomorrow, but after the cold front, we expect it to drop a little and it'll feel a little better Friday and Saturday. But as we head into the evening, hour by hour, you can see by 8 o'clock we'll drop down to about 86. That'll still probably feel like 90. And again, a couple of thunderstorms out there I just showed you. Generally dry in the overnight hours with partly to mostly cloudy skies as we slowly fall through the low 80s and 70s. 72 is what you'll walk out the door with tomorrow morning. That not too different than where we were this morning. But we should stay out of the 90s tomorrow because of cloud cover and rain chances. Our 3-degree guarantee high tomorrow is 89. We were just within a degree today for our Girls on the Run charity. Actual high was 92. Again, it felt like 98, though. Our forecast was 91, so another $50 for the month, bringing our total to 900. And guess what? August starts next week, so July flew by. We'll hopefully keep racking up the dollars. Big picture, you can see still a stationary boundary to our south. Remember, that's kind of been here all week. It's a lot weaker today, so there's not as much rain, similar to what we had yesterday. There's our cold front that will race across the mountains and be here tomorrow night, but it's ahead of the front that we'll see some showers and storms. So here's what we've got planned. 6 a.m., mostly dry. Can't rule out a stray shower, maybe up by the Virginia border, north of the Triangle. Then we stop things at noon. Here's the front in the far top left part of your screen. A little bit of rain around, but still mostly dry. But by mid-afternoon, when we get close to 90, all that moisture out there, the instability as the front approaches, good chances of showers, storms, and heavy downpours. Front rolling through about supper time, still some storms around then, so I think we'll have a lot of washouts tomorrow, commute and sporting events. But by late tomorrow night, the front getting through, showers going away, and then we've got some much more comfortable weather by Friday. And there is a very, very small chance of some severe storms, all ahead of the front. It's a long shot that we see any hail or wind. Tornadoes not in the conversation, but I think heavy rain is going to be our bigger concern, maybe some isolated flooding. And your 7-day forecast has our rain chance at 60% tomorrow, drops down to 20% Friday, but the humidity will also drop. I think we'll all enjoy and notice that. We are back up to 90 on Saturday, 93 on Sunday with a 30% chance of showers. And guess what? Another cold front Monday night. So Monday, another good chance of rain, but a little cooler Tuesday and Wednesday. So a July 7-day with 2 cold fronts. That doesn't happen very often. No, we'll take it though.
And we're getting our share of rain.
Yeah.
And then some. Thank you, Wes.
Okay, thanks, Wes. Coming up, best for business, the reasons that Raleigh topped a new Forbes list. That's coming up.